When the Third Reich fell, the world saw the devastation. But not everything they uncovered made sense. In the final weeks of World War II, Allied forces stormed through the ruins of Bavaria. Inside mountain fortresses and abandoned castles, they found vaults, sealed with iron, not with gold, not with weapons, but with knowledge. Inside, black leather folders stamped Ahnenerbe, streng geheim, top secret. What lay inside wasn't military strategy. It was something older, something stranger, ancient skulls, filed beside Tibetan prayer flags, maps of Atlantis burned at the edges, photographs of cave paintings in Iraq annotated in SS code, bronze discs etched with runes, wired into machines no one could identify. And in one chamber of Wewelsburg Castle, a stone circle, perfectly carved into the floor, 12 chairs around a dark sun mosaic, one seat placed higher than the rest. This wasn't a war room. This was a temple for men in uniform, who believed the ancient gods weren't myth, but memory, that history had been erased, and they were here to resurrect it. They called themselves the Ahnenerbe, a Nazi think tank? No, more than that. A cult, a scientific priesthood, a state-funded machine to rewrite the human origin story and build a new one. While tanks thundered through Europe, another army moved in silence. Not soldiers, but scholars, PhDs, historians, linguists, ethnographers, recruited into black uniforms and armed with rulers, cameras, and ancient texts. By 1939, the Ahnenerbe had over 50 full-time researchers. By war's end, over 130. They operated across Europe and beyond, with full SS authority. They weren't chasing war. They were chasing origin. In France, they excavated prehistoric caves. In Syria, they studied Hittite ruins. In Finland, they searched for evidence of an ancient Aryan homeland buried beneath Nordic legends. But the most bizarre projects lay further east. In 1938, an Ahnenerbe expedition marched into Tibet. Monks were questioned. Ancient texts, some said to describe gods descending in flying wheels, were quietly packed up and shipped home. They took skull measurements of villagers, traced bloodlines with early eugenics tests, and recorded songs and chants that supposedly preserved pre-human knowledge. The official reason? Cultural preservation. The real reason? A hidden hypothesis that the Aryan race, the so-called master race, originated not in Germany, but in a forgotten civilization, a lost world buried beneath layers of myth. Some said it was Atlantis, others, Tula. Himmler believed it was Hyperborea, a polar civilization older than Egypt. This wasn't archaeology. It was prophecy dressed in lab coats, and it was all backed by the SS. To truly understand the Ahnenerbe, we have to look at the man behind it. Heinrich Himmler, often dismissed as a bland bureaucrat in SS black, Himmler was far more dangerous than he appeared. He wasn't just a military commander, he was a man possessed by myth, mysticism, and a twisted dream of sacred blood. He saw himself not as a general, but as a high priest of a resurrected Aryan empire. He believed in reincarnation, in ancestral memory, in the occult power of bloodlines. Christianity to Himmler was a foreign distortion. He wanted to revive the old gods, the Germanic pantheon, Wotan, Donar, the divine thunder and frost of pre-Christian Europe. The Ahnenerbe was his church, and Wewelsburg Castle was his Vatican. Himmler remodeled the castle into a ritual site. Its main tower was designed as the center of the world in Nazi cosmology. 12 chairs for 12 SS apostles, echoes of both King Arthur's Round Table and pagan councils of war. Rituals were performed there, some say involving runic invocations, others say darker rites, ceremonial daggers, chants beneath torches, meditations in rooms where no light could enter. Many of these claims are still debated, but what's undeniable is this. Himmler saw history not as a record of the past, but as a script to be rewritten, and the Ahnenerbe was his pen. Officially, the Ahnenerbe studied ancestral heritage. Unofficially, it became a playground for forbidden science. They mapped ley lines, imaginary energy grids said to connect ancient monuments. They built devices to detect earth resonance. They attempted to decode runes not just as symbols, but as energy signatures. One project investigated whether sound waves could awaken genetic memory. Another tried to resurrect a lost pre-language, a primal tongue spoken before Babel. Inside laboratories, ceramic discs were pulsed with frequencies and electromagnetic fields. Human hair samples were tested alongside ancient amulets, and diagrams began to appear, combining sacred geometry with high-voltage coils. Some of these diagrams resemble early sketches of De Glocke, the bell, a gravity-defying craft rumored to distort time, space, and sanity. The bell itself remains speculation, but the obsession with lost energy sources, zero-point power, vril force, and ancient cosmic patterns is well documented in Ahnenerbe archives. One surviving file described an interface machine designed to communicate with the memory field of mankind. Another referenced a ritual space in Peru, long since buried, where the stars speak through stone. What were they building? No one truly knows. But it wasn't just technology. It was technology with myth embedded, a fusion of the arcane and the scientific, an effort to make belief manifest. By the war's end, the Ahnenerbe had gone dark. Files vanished, projects abandoned, labs burned or buried, but not all their personnel disappeared. Some were absorbed into the Soviet Union's secret programs. Others were taken by the United States under Operation Paperclip. Most people know Wernher von Braun and the rocket scientists. Fewer know about the ethnographers, the sound engineers, the men who measured skulls and read spells. One name in particular haunts the records. Hans Kammler, an SS general, oversaw construction of V-2 launch sites and classified Ahnenerbe divisions. He was linked to the Bell Project, and after April 1945, he vanished. No confirmed death, no trial, no trace. Some say he made a deal with American intelligence. Others say he escaped to Argentina, taking technologies and blueprints with him. A few even claim he was never seen again because he never came back, that something happened during those final days, something he couldn't control. Ahnenerbe secrets didn't end in the ashes of Berlin. They simply went underground. In post-war conspiracy circles, whispers remain of Nazi temples beneath the ice, of ritual experiments buried in sealed mountains, of a knowledge older than humanity, and the men who tried to harness it. The Ahnenerbe wasn't a side project. It was the spiritual and intellectual core of Nazi ideology. But their strangest chapter was just beginning. In 1938, a team of SS researchers hiked into the Himalayas. Their goal? To trace the blood of gods, to find the cradle of the Aryan race, to locate a hidden civilization, possibly not of this earth. What they brought back was never made public. In episode 2, we follow the Ahnenerbe into Tibet and ask, what were they really searching for? Thanks for watching. This is Faded History.